Yeah, the live stream isn't prepared. Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay, and I switch off the sound. Good. So, as I've told you, while we were waiting for people joining us, I played some music, and I have, apart from Buraka, some Synthsthema. Let's start with this, and in 4 minutes we will see us. Sorry, I must restart. I forgot to activate the sound. So, let me know if you can hear the sound. I think they changed again something.
This,
can you hear?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
But this is not a song. This is a documentary. What you're playing now.
Yeah.
It's not a song, Detlef. It's a documentary.
Look at me, so young.
Before there were children saying, Papa, Papa.
Yeah. Long before that.
That left the sound isn't there.
No sound?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's very low. It's somewhere there.
Of course, Kuduro is a strong element when it comes to the fundamental way Buraka's system sounds. None of us is a Kuduro producer. We'll like some of the chaotic thing that happens in the genre. We don't consider ourselves involved with the thing. Keep finding Angola the most exotic.
Sorry, was there no sound?
No,
Very
there was
low.
no sound.
It was in the background.
Okay.
It was in the background.
I was wondering, there is. They changed something here.
It's okay. We can also start by talking about our days.
Exactly.
How's your day?
Let's give me another try. So, das said Audio freigeben. So.
The first time at Club Mercado was an experience that I will never have again with any other project whatsoever. A night filled with tunes that nobody had ever heard, nor in African nightclubs or regular dance music clubs for that matter. People were getting naked, dance battles going on, sweat all over the place. It was just magical.
Comigo ninguém se zaga. Na pista vai ter que comandar. No bailezão
Buraka it's Afro-punk. It's a raw mix between electronic music we make in Africa and the one that's being made right now on the first world electronic music circuit. Of course, Kuduro is a strong element when it comes to defining the way Buraka Sound Sistema sounds, but none of us is a Kuduro producer. We all like some of the chaotic things that happens on the genre. We don't consider ourselves the Lord of the Rings of Kuduro. We can find in Angola the most exotic and rare musicians in the world. Leaving home early and going to the middle of Sambizanga, looking for what is going to be our next favorite superhero, you need to be there to understand how different things are.
O que é que um miúdo de Luanda hoje ouve? Essencialmente Kuduro. O Kuduro possui uma cultura. Música e dança andam par.
Já tirei, mas quem canta também dança. Quem leva a bandeira da banda.
Quase sempre que é um hit de Kuduro, ele vem acompanhado de uma dança, de um gesto novo, que é uma marca que distingue essa música de outras.
Eu próprio, Bruno Estraga, mais conhecido por Madi, me inspiro em mim mesmo. Os toques que eu invento são mesmo toques meus. De toque que eu próprio formei, chama-se do Neném.
Bandeira.
Listening to that amateur musician playing his best ever made loop, built it in hacked Fruity Loops, and his Pentium 5 computer, that's the future.
Buraka Sound Sistemas ajudou-me a tirar o estereotipo de Kuduro como uma música muito de bairro, muito de gueto, muito associada à marginalidade, muito Angola, muito voo doméstico, né? A Buraka Sound Sistema serviu como o grande voo, né? O 777 da TAG Internacional, que levou o nosso estilo musical, a nossa vivência, a maneira de agir, de sentir do angolano, musicalmente falando, para o mundo. Musicalmente falando.
Yeah, welcome to Virtually Yours number 24. Welcome Kalaf Epalanga, welcome Sukiswawana. The floor is yours.
I'm very delighted to actually host this Virtually Yours with my brother and my friend Kalaf Epalanga. Welcome. And today we are going to discuss his book, Whites Can Dance Too. And of course, you all have a chance to win a copy of this book. There will be 5 draws. We shall start and get into it. And then we'll get into it by just doing a bit of a read, and we'll do it right from the beginning as Kalaf asked me to. Now, here's a problem. I don't have Kalaf's deep voice, so you will excuse me. The main character in this place is actually called Kalaf, who might or might not be, but we're not going to talk about that. We'll talk about that as we discuss. All right. I guess I must have got distracted by those Bruno M lines because I didn't even register the bus flowing and parking on the side of the road amid an exuberant green. I didn't notice when we crossed the Svensund Canal, separating Sweden from Norway, over the new bridge built across the Idefjord and baptized with the same name as the old one beside it, Vincent. I would have liked to have seen it. this being my first time visiting the northern lands, but couldn't help falling asleep. We're 113 kilometers south of Oslo and 180 kilometers north of Gothenburg, where last night at the Way Out West Festival, a crowd of well-mannered blonde Swedes danced frantically to a blended kuduro, house and tropical techno, as if it were the last August of their lives and as if the cities of Luanda and Lisbon were not so distant and unknown. The door opened, and two police officers, both in plain clothes with badges around their necks, boarded the vehicle. The man, tall and blonde, the way only a Viking can be, introduced himself to the passengers. I didn't recall his exact words, but my mind immediately went back over the reply I practiced dozens of times just in case I were to come across border officials at any point on the 3,500 kilometers I'd covered since Lisbon. I was traveling without a passport, having lost it somewhere in a hotel in Paris a few weeks earlier. A nightmare which at the time had forced my band, Baraka Som Sistema, to cancel a series of engagements because in addition, since misfortune always brings a +1 to the party, I'm an Angolan citizen. When you are an ordinary Angolan citizen, the last thing you want is to lose your passport. I'd give anything for it to have been my phone or the suitcase with my clothes, my laptop, just not the passport, as this meant traveling to Luanda, finding a handler, paying an expediting fee, and then praying to Kianda, our Saint Iphigenia, for her to bless the computers of the Angolan Migration and Foreign Services for their systems not to fail. And I prayed now. I prayed to Saint Elspario and to Saint Benedict that I would not falter. I prayed for my voice not to fail me when my turn came to present my papers, for the lie I prepared for the occasion to come out convincingly. But it did not. I showed my residency card and the blonde man looked at it suspiciously, asked for my passport. I lied, saying I had it in my suitcase. The other officer, a brunette who looked like she might be a professional judo player, joined us. Apparently, I was the only person on the bus with a suspect document. I'm sure no other foreigner with a residency card issued by the Portuguese Immigration and Border Service had ever crossed the border before. The blonde man, who could easily have been in our audience the previous night, asked me to go and fetch my passport, instructing the driver to open the luggage compartment. The two officers escorted me to my suitcase, and in those few meters, I even considered turning back and telling them the truth, confessing that the passport I had to show them was an old expired one, so devastated by time that nobody in their right mind would ever allow me passage with a document in such a condition. Not only had it expired back when the Angolan revolutionary, Jonas Savimbi, was still alive and wreaking havoc, but the space for a photograph was occupied by what now looked more like a painting by the Impressionist master, Willem de Kooning. My legs trembled, but with the most confident attitude I'd ever boasted, I held out the passport, just like that, rotten-faced, as the Angolans say, and my bold and irresponsible gesture must have set off every alarm in those two officers' heads. Only a madman or a really first-rate criminal would attempt to cross the whole of Europe by bus and train with the threadbare excuse that he's a musician in a Lisbon band and that he was due to play a concert that night at one of the continent's most iconic festivals of electronic music. I wouldn't have believed it myself if I had been in their position. The officers invited me to retrieve my luggage and accompany them to the nearest police station for questioning. I didn't say a word. I felt the sweat forming in my brow, my mouth dry, heart pounding. I was sure any sudden movement would make me throw up. Nobody had asked me to turn missionary, to travel the world from the slums of Luanda like a Mormon elder, spreading the gospel of Kuduro, a musical genre born in the intersection of house, techno, and kizomba in the late 1980s, when the Angolan Civil War was at its peak, and the youth desperately needed something that could help make sense of the chaos surrounding them. All right, I will leave it there, and hopefully the rest of you will get a copy, or maybe you'll win it here and you can find out what happens. Kalaf,
Thank you so much.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
You know, 2
Thank
days
you.
ago, I came across a letter I wrote to you on your birthday in 2021. And I thought that was very interesting to come across. But you went and you became part of this dance music phenomenon called Kuduro, and you became part of a band. And so in this book, what you do, which is auto fiction, really, guys, what you do, Kalaf, is you show us the book is in 3 parts, and the first part is by Kalaf, and then there's a second part by Sophia, and the third part by a character that we shall say Kalaf named the Viking. Now, obviously, we know the Kalaf part is pretty true and journals the journey. How much of the other 2 characters are true to the story, and how much is fiction?
Everything.
Really?
Yes. I didn't exchange well, you know, I answered to the Viking because he was interrogating me. But I don't have yeah, besides, you know, answering his questions, I don't have anything. You know, I don't know anything about him.
Okay.
I have his resemblance. I try to describe in the book, but that was it. I don't know where he lives. I don't know what kind of music he likes. What is, you know, the love interest that he has. Like nothing. Is totally fiction. And Sophia, I would say she's also fiction. Is a fictional character, but I have a lot of could I say? I put it on a really real situation. Yeah, Quito exists, for example. Sophia's love interests in the book is a friend of mine. I was even just text with him before I joined you. So it's a dear friend of mine, a filmmaker, Brazilian, and he was in fact in Lisbon because the film he was editing, a film on Kuduro. So I also brought the director of the film to the story, but beside that, everything else is fiction. You know, like yeah, it didn't happen. The house doesn't exist. They didn't went to the streets of Lisbon. There was one situation that I used because Quito is also a writer. There was this situation that I used on my book, and he also used on his book because it was so striking. And I think the reason why I brought him to the book was because when he was visiting Lisbon, editing the film, when he finished, we went for dinner, and the next day he went back to Brazil. And on that dinner, it was myself, Quito, and 3 other Black boys or men. You know, we were in our late 20s. And we were on a really fancy restaurant in the middle of the city, having, you know, the time of our lives, laughing, drinking, telling jokes, just, you know, 5 friends gathering. And next day, when he was on the airport, he texted me and he said, the last time I felt that free, I was 10 years old. So, and that text struck me so hard that I felt like, you know, we sometimes forget like the diasporic experience that our brothers and sisters in Brazil go through in order to survive, you know, like, and I wanted to write and also to make this book in a way a conversation about migration, voluntary migrations, involuntary, forced migrations. I wanted that to be the topic, but not finding and going to the, let's say, the beaten roads of this subject, like making a tale of a family crossing the Mediterranean and stuff like that. I wanted to have a different angle, but still addressing those issues and those topics. So I think that was my intention. So the auto fiction was there because practicality. I also wanted to juxtapose the history of migration with the history of the music genre that I was involved with, and I didn't have the time to go back to Angola, chase the characters, and do all that. So I felt like I could use elements of my biographies, not everything there. For example, I have 3 more siblings. None of them appear in the book. I didn't marry to get my papers, but I would say
we're not gonna judge you.
but I would say the episode that you just read in the beginning, that happened. That's exactly what happened. Of course, that's my point of view, but that's the catalyst for the novel. That
okay,
happened.
all right, and it's and I think you do that very well, because at the heart of it, very, very much, this book is music, but you don't not deal with the big political issues of migration, of race, of refuge. I think when you do the reflection of the Viking regarding a prisoner who killed themselves, for instance, comes very much. But even as he does that reflection, it's very much about the music, and so that was really beautiful to engage with. And tell me though, because you do say that this particular stuff that I read was actually true. I want to know the level of bravery and what, or did you just think that you're a black guy traveling in Europe, and then you don't even have correct papers? What did you think, that you were invincible because you're like what was going on through you?
That's the beauty of youth, like we do things like completely reckless and just going by our instinct, and yeah, I was crazy. But again, when the thing was happening, yeah, of course I was not thinking about music. This came later. I of course I made the book around that episode, but when I finally left, I felt that moment was so strong that could become something, or either a movie, for example. And we tried to make a documentary. I think, like in the beginning, we showed some images of that film that we did on our last tour. But I couldn't really use that episode because I didn't knew how to place it in a book and not bring all the heavy elements of being incarcerated because migration issues, or paper issues. I wanted to work with the subtleness, of all these dramas that we have. For example, one of the, I don't know if you feel the same, but every time I cross a border, even if I have the right papers and everything is in order, I feel anxious.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
So I wanted to capture that, and when someone asks us like, why is that? Of course, especially white people, why is that, and why you feel that way? I cannot even put in words, because I can say, oh, of course, colonialism, racism, and all that, but at the same time, there is a deeper, inner trauma that we carry, regardless if we are, let's say, welcomed, or there are a wave of emotion that we go through when we are facing, border police anywhere in the world.
No, I absolutely agree with you. In fact, I think sometimes it's probably even worse, and you would know this because you're an Angolan passport. When you are using an African passport, so how people will so often do not understand the idea when they invite you to something. Say they invite you to something in Europe or in the US, and you have to tell them that they have to send you everything like months in advance, because you have to apply for these things, and sometimes it's like 4 months or 6 months wait just to get a visa,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and of course it's not something that a lot of people understand, because sometimes even if some of those people have been to your countries, they don't understand it, because they come to our countries without
Yeah.
any of those problems that we have to undergo. So I think you did capture that anxiety, very well. I was constantly like on the edge of my seat with that part of the thing, and I was trying to see, and of course, I mean, you have Marie, who is the other officer,
Mhm.
and she is she's very no nonsense, and I know I could see her, because I have seen a lot of border officials like that, and a lot of immigration officials like that,
Yes.
I think I had an experience like that, weirdly enough, when I was crossing from Poland into Ukraine some years ago. And
Wow.
yeah, I know, but I was put in a room, and I was being taken around, and it was crazy, because I was with somebody who was Scottish, but they took me around, and they put me, and you know how, this big in the former Soviet bloc, how they have these buildings with like very thick walls and stuff. And I
Yeah.
started wondering to myself, because I think I watched too much TV and movies, and maybe I watched too much James Bond or whatever it is. I started
Yeah.
wondering whether it actually come out. But it was also the irony that I was coming from the European Union, and I was going to Lviv for a literary festival, and it just seemed a bit absurd that somebody would think that I'm running away from the EU so that I could go to I
East
could go
Europe.
to
Yeah.
to Ukraine. Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
right? Um, Now you wrote this book originally, obviously in Portuguese, as Tampianos Brancos Sam Duncan. How terrible is my Portuguese, by the way? Anyway, and this
Yeah.
was and this was written in 2017,
Yes.
right? This came out in 2017, and it was immediately after you guys in Barocca Sound Sistema had decided that you're going to take a hiatus.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to write it?
2 years, I would say. Because
So were you already writing it while you were still in the band?
yeah,
Before you guys took
yes,
a time out?
yeah,
Okay.
hotel rooms, buses, and yeah, it was a book that was conceived on the road, and to be honest, and I was happy with that, because somehow I wanted to capture that feel. Of course, again, the book, I tried to use this, how you call it in English, circadian style, like around the day. I think it's a style.
Yeah.
I think like
Mm.
some writers, put a story all in one day, all in
All in
24
one day,
hours.
yeah.
So I wanted to have that, just to use also the same time that I was on the sail, in prison. So that kind of gave me a lot of borders that were hard to beat. So I spent a lot of time trying to find the style and the rhythm. So it took me a while to do that. But once I did that, I think it was just like a year and a half or something like that. But I had a couple of tries. Plus, not so much on the English version, because I had the time. That's the beauty of translation, because you have time to go back and edit again. And I'm a huge advocate of editing. I would say the Portuguese version has a little bit too much information, a little bit too much of a essay-ish style, because that's the problem. Like, we don't have that much books published on music, like either fiction or non-fiction. And because of that, I felt I had to put informations to give context.
As much stuff as you could.
Exactly. And also, like, again, I would be judged differently in my Portuguese language. Like, someone that knows this story would come to me and say, "Oh, you didn't mention that person, you didn't mention that episode, like it's not authentic enough." So I had to play with that. But in the English translation, somehow I was just more focused on the history, more focused on the drama and the characters. So it was kind of like was beautiful to do that, because I felt like I could do a little bit more editing on the Portuguese version, and I managed to do with this version. So the English version is now the ultimate. That's what I wanted to present. That's how I hope every translation that come around will follow this.
Tell me, the book was translated by Daniel Hahn for Faber. How much input did you have? Did you have to like go through it with him, everything, or how much leeway did you give him?
It was very, very, because he also invited that. Yeah, we worked very closely, because again, the book is very urban. Yeah, it's placed in the cities, going through a music genre that there's not really that much past. Yeah, like the first songs of Kuduro were coming on on early 90s. So because of that, I think he recognized that he needed my input. Just because, like, I can give you one example, which is a sentence that I like a lot. I think it's even on the first part that I say, like, trouble never goes to a part. I don't really remember, but I'm trying to
no, I've got the line. It's a gorgeous line. Misfortune always brings a +1.
Yeah, that phrase was about to get cut because I don't know, like, understanding, because that's a very, like, only if you go to events and there's always a +1 that we want to bring. So it's a very cultural thing. And and I believe he felt the need to have me around as a collaborator on this translation because of those elements, those culture nuggets that were important for the novel, for the story. And again, this is like a very kind and very, very smart and very intelligent translator, but he recognized that he didn't have elements to understand fully the culture of dance music or even lab culture, for that matter. Doesn't really necessarily, it's not really necessarily connected to the genre.
I actually appreciate that, because I think when as I was reading, there were certain things that I wouldn't have known if I didn't know you and Onjaki and Yara, and for instance, the idea of the ducks, and the parties and stuff and everything, and I felt in a way that was a special, and then there were other things that I knew that only I could understand only because I'm African, and you'd there'd been a bit of an almost literal translation, and it was almost like it might pass over the head of somebody else who it will make sense, but they don't really get it. Like, well, okay, but why are you putting this? But I kind of feel like it was a bit of a wink, you know. So it's like, hey, type of little wave and stuff.
Absolutely. And to be honest, like that's also a lot of people, especially like on festivals and panels, the readers ask, like, to whom we are writing these stories for. And again, I think primarily we write for us. I think writers, because that's a story that we want to read. At least for me, that's my motivation. I write stories that I would like to read, and there's no around. If they are, I basically move to another
you
subject.
haven't come across them yet.
Yeah. And then the second thing, I think Aminata Forna has this phrase or quote that she said, like, in order for you to know a country, you need to read their writers. And I really believe that. Yeah, like if I want to tell you about Angolan experience, the way Angolan sees the world, I want to put as much as I can for our cultural surroundings in a way.
Absolutely.
Because I do that, like, in order for, like, I never been to South Africa, and your books and the literature is so rich and so vivid that paints me a picture. Even not being there, I know that place. Yeah, like I know where to go. Like because of books only.
Okay. Yeah. No, I hear you. Literature does certainly what border officials may not sometimes permit us to do, or funds for that matter. And which also reminds me, as you probably know, I think I told you, I went to Angola for the first time this year, in May, and one of the greatest it was an absolute vibe. But also, I was being hosted by Onjaki, and he knows everybody and everything.
He's a great ambassador. He really knows that.
Absolutely, but one of the things that I deeply regretted after I finished reading this was that I had read it after I'd been to Angola. So of course now my mission is that, like, in the next by May next year, I'm gonna be in Angola again with the knowledge of this.
Onjaki didn't took you to the clubs.
No. We actually, I don't know why he didn't, because my leg wasn't broken at that time. No, he didn't.
I know that's very Onjaki. Like, it's like he will not take you to the clubs.
No, we did a lot of culture stuff, but we actually didn't go clubbing. Interestingly enough, now that you say that, we went to some galleries, and we went to some art places, and then of course we went to that lovely library that's been done, on the outskirts, where by the train thing, by the freeway, and a lot of other places, and even some island or other. But no, hey, I was shortchanged.
You see, to have the full experience of Luanda, you gotta go.
No, I know you have to get the dance. Exactly. And now I feel like I need to go. I need to go for that very reason. I need to go. Well, I was gonna go back anyway, but now it's even more compelling. And hopefully, obviously, you will be there when I go next time.
So the book is coming out next year.
Which one?
Madams.
Oh, the Madams is already out in Portuguese. It's already out. Yeah, actually, we'll bring you a copy. Where is it? Here it is.
Okay, fantastic. Okay,
I'll bring you a copy in Ghana.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. It's already out, and it's actually been performed as a play as well in Mozambique. And
Oh my God.
yeah,
All
yeah, I
right.
know, it was gorgeous. I was laughing so hard, and you know, my Portuguese sucks, but I understood everything they were saying. But yeah,
Yeah,
back to you
right.
though. What did it mean to you for this book to be translated, and not just by a small publisher, but like Faber and Faber? You know?
Well, again, the house, of course, this is politics, yeah, the politics of literature. So that was great. But I would say, let me approach this way. Especially because I'm coming from Africa Rights that happened last weekend in London.
Yes.
Portuguese speaking writers are not part of this big party of African literature that we are now raving. Yeah. We feel left out. Again, there's not that much novels being published. So I would say that, like, no. It's also, we have work to do, yeah, before people start to inviting us. But it's a fact, even the ones that get translated, the very few that get translated are not necessarily considered in those events. Yeah. People were really surprised about Yara and the books you guys published. Yeah. People were shocked, of course, and NIPARC even highlighted, like we're talking here, an Angolan writer published by an African publisher and translated by also an African translator, yeah, an African woman. This is very rare, yeah. So it's the Anglophone world is tough, yeah. It's hard to break in, but
well, I think in a way it's kind of the same with the other way, because being South African and being bordered by both Mozambique and Angola in different ways, the fact that well, not quite Angola, but close enough. The fact
somehow I heard Remy when you just said that.
I know. But you knew what I mean, because Namibia province, etc. But anyway,
it's all love. It's all love. We only diss the people that we love.
But anyway, so it was also like being obviously like being in Angola this year and just really getting to meet all these other Angolan writers and their works. And then just last month, of course, I was in Mozambique for the Mozambican launch, and also meeting all these Mozambican writers that I hadn't known. But the truth of the matter is, despite the fact that I too have been there, in the industry for like 17 years, they also didn't know who I am. So I guess it's one of those things where, but I do like the synergies that are happening. The fact that, with, your book.
You are a true Pan-Africanist. I have to say, your attitude, where you move, even the way we met, like it was like somehow the energy were kind of, no one introduced us. We introduced ourselves. I don't know if you remember when we met.
Of course I do. 2018.
Yeah. Yes.
No, 2018. Yeah.
But that means a lot, yeah. Like, and again, I didn't knew anyone on that festival. I was just an attendee. There was this woman, like you were sitting quite next to me, and we start talking, and we start, we start talking about literature. You say, "Oh, I know, I read on Jackie," and off we go, But that's very rare for them, finding someone that read one Angolan writer. That's not common, yeah. So going back to your question, like I feel finally I'm having something to show to my brethren and sisterins, like to have something to, what, here's me, we are also contributing on building, this house that we call African literature. Yeah. But at the same time, I also claim the importance of bringing the African diaspora in the Americas. No, not only the North.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the South American, like the Latin America, Brazil, all that, like, because they produce so much and the stories are so incredible. We're making a disservice on not bringing these people over to us, like, and it's something that I stress about it. I complain. I'm very vocal about this on my panels, or when people finally decide me, okay, it's like you're talking too much. Here's the curator, the curator chair. You do the work. But and believe me, I'm not even consider myself a curator, but I do that just because I have a service, and I have this privilege of being able to circulate
of having access and or to both sides. I understand that, and
yeah,
and I
absolutely.
think that's why I thought even like somebody like Onjaki setting up Kasimbo was such an important thing, because the fact that
He
we can
understands
actually
that
now
too.
be able to translate ourselves and select who our translators are gonna be. I think Uniperiferous in Brazil, for instance, I have done quite a bit of work with them, and they have been really amazing at like putting on the platform writers from this continent, from francophone and anglophone and lusophone, that they might not otherwise have known, but also giving them then some amazing exposure to the Brazilian audience, I think.
Yeah, it's
So
very important.
I do like this dynamics, and I think, I mean, obviously you have a lot to do with that, because I remember when when George Floyd was killed in 2020 on Africa Day. Irony. And we started talking about it in as a group, as writers in our little private space, and I think it was you who first brought it to a lot of like English speaking writers, that there was, police brutality was as bad in Brazil as it was in the US, because all we were aware of was, US police brutality. And so suddenly you and Onjaki and Yara were making us aware about this, that because of linguistic barriers, we hadn't been able to access. And so for that reason, I'm able then to look with a different eye. I remember I had to do a report of a book by that was a manuscript that was written by a South African, and they were talking about the problem with racism and in South Africa, and they said, it would be so much better if South Africans could learn from Brazil. And I was like, no. And I could only say that because I had the benefit of insight from you. Yeah, I know. Yeah, everybody in Brazil, they're all equal. They love each other. Across barriers and so forth.
Because they
and I think that little example that you mentioned with the producer made it that much more important, because where he says he's in Lisbon, and he says he's never felt this free, since he was 10 years old. And it's essentially because nobody has harassed him while sitting in a restaurant or questioned his being there,
Yeah, exactly. Like 5 black men. To be honest, like in Brazil, like, believe me, it will be really hard for us, the 5 of us, 5 black men sitting on a fancy restaurant, speaking loud, ordering wine. And again, it's not a question of like it's not that much of a big deal. It's just us being us, like, and it's art. It's art. It's just to give you a perspective and a perspective to the audience. That very well. Like, but for the ones that might not know, in every 23 minutes, a black boy is shot by the police in Brazil. Like
That's a
the
hectic
numbers,
statistic.
yeah, the
That's a
numbers are
disturbing
staggering.
statistic.
Yeah.
Mm.
But anyways, again, there's a lot of issues that as a group, yeah, and I'm really very much into this global village mindset. We cannot leave like no man, no child, no women behind. Yeah, like
Yeah, absolutely.
we gotta bring everybody to the party. Yeah, so and Faber, it could be any publishing house, to be honest. But the thing that I was inclined to work with Faber was because of a publisher. Yeah, the one that acquired the book at the time. She's no longer there, but at the time, the person that acquired the book understood very well what I wanted to.
What we wanted to do,
yeah, with the book. So that was very refreshing. That really helped, because it's very easy to market my book because of my biography, my musical biography. And she knew that, okay, music is an important element of the novel, but migration, the way I'm tackling this subject, the way I'm even as you say, like approaching from a different angle, like I could go like bazooka on the political side, at least what we know as a political side, because I think even though it's subtle, still very political. But she understood like my proposition, and yeah, so I went for that.
Guys, if any of you have any questions, please don't have any questions, but if any of you have any questions, I think now is the time, because we actually have less than 8 minutes to go. And I know Kalaf and I will be going on and on. Before any of you ask questions, let me get back to the music. I liked the way you did you've got the music in the first part, and then you've got the dance in the second part, and then you've got the music in the third part as well. But how you had this this Viking guy, and you had this Viking guy, and he's such a hip hop head, and he does all these little things and whatever, and in the end, it's actually the little line in one of your songs that is like it kind of recognizes Kalaf and gives him some respect and stuff because he's a hip hop head. What led you into this avenue? Because I thought that was so beautiful, but also like the way you brought other genres of music, bringing in rock, bringing in like Lebanese music, and just the fusion. It was such a wow.
There is a playlist available on Spotify. If you just type "White Scan Dance 2," you will find it. It's not everything I reference in the book, but it's quite a lot there. And so my first idea was to make this dialogue. Like I'm not into crime novels. I cannot really write thrillers like that. But I want to have this, the detective and the policeman. Like I have
the policeman, yes.
Yeah, so I've
and the almost criminal guy without papers.
Yeah, I want to have these contrasts, this mindset, and also find the to mirror those two characters. Like what kind of interests someone might have, because I'm the type of person that I don't trust people that say, "Oh, I only listen what is on the radio." I think these people have a problem, and we should keep an eye on them. So I wanted to work on that, and I imagine like he, driving hours and hours, sitting on the border, chasing migrants and stuff like that. So what kind of music he was into it? What kind of so I was starting, that was my starting point, because I'm the type of person that makes and creates a playlist for every character. I don't know if people do that, but I do, because it tells a lot about a person. A
lot about the character. No, it also helps you delve into the character and understand them better.
Yeah. So I did that. I made this playlist, and then off I went. And one of the things also that made me be so free is because also I was so constrained on the first part, because one of the hardest thing to do is to write about you and about the people that you have in your life, because people really my wife even, like, she came to me and said, who is this Sophia? You know, she was quite upset, like, because people really believe like those things are true in my life, like, but again, it's very hard. And I police myself so much on being careful what I should reveal, what I shouldn't reveal about myself. And of course
Yourself.
with me I was okay, but my friends, because again, I'm writing about my band, yeah. So, and they all have lives and wives, kids, and everything. So I couldn't really reveal everything. What happened in Vegas, stay in Vegas type of attitude. So I had to keep some secrets in the closet. So when came to the Viking, to the policeman, I said, like, look, I don't want any restriction. I want to put everything. Yeah. So that's why, in a way, the character came the way it came, because I was just trying to be as far from the character Calaf, the first
Of
narrator.
Calaf as possible. Yeah, I hear you. There's a question here. What challenges have you faced as an author in your country? Have you faced any challenges?
I would say a weird sense of censorship, because we police ourselves so much in my country, what to say and what not to say. I think that's a challenge, and sometimes not even an issue, but somehow we feel afraid. Yeah. And takes a lot of time, a lot of consulting with our peers, a lot of conversation, and in order for us to break free from that self-imposed censorship. Because again, I'm not saying we live in a democracy, but things are not that free as we wanted and as we intended. So that's something, like, I would say is a challenge.
Okay. And to just follow up, because you just mentioned the not being free and stuff. It's something obviously in the book, and I wanted to see whether this is true or whether this is something you're playing at. And just there's a time when the band is in Angola, and the son of a very very now dead but formerly very powerful politician offers to to get the rights and whatever, and then despite the amount of money, the band members are like, no. How much of it is true, how much isn't? But more importantly,
that happened. That character is real, and believe me, Faber.
Well, I know the character is real, but I wanted to know that.
And Faber send me their lawyers. They're like, look, there's a disclaimer here. Whatever you put here is your responsibility.
Oh my God! So now, what I wanted to ask, my question to that, my follow-up question to that is, so okay, so you know that the arts generally are very underfunded. Where would you put your limit? Where would you say, okay, I definitely will not work with this person, and you say, maybe I can compromise with this one? Where would be your limit?
To be honest, I'm starting, maybe that's the thing about getting old. I'm starting to become more, I would not say sympathetic, but I would say more understanding of the circumstances of our democracies, or even like our dictatorships for that matter. Yeah. Because I believe most of the nationalists, our forefathers of our independence, they entered in a game that was absolutely rigged, and they knew it, but they still went on because whatever whatever outcome that we had was better than what we had before. Yeah. Even like this hardship that we have now is better than the colonial shackle that we had on our necks, so I would say that I'm more, for example, I can give a practical example, because this is more about power than anything, and the exercise of power. When because this is related to my country, but I think it concerns us.
It's Africa-wide.
It's African issue. When Sindica Dokolo, the former husband of Isabel dos Santos, when he went on that campaign to return the African artifacts on the museums in Europe, as much as you can disagree with Sindica, his business, again, I don't agree with those business, but that thing was important.
Was valid. But then a clock is correct at least twice a day. Even a broken clock is correct at least twice a day, right?
Exactly. So we should look at our politicians with that sense of responsibility. Again, we don't need to agree with them all the time, but we need still, to demand and to apply pressure, soft power, whatever we can do in order to get some things in order for our people. Our countries, some of us are turning 60 years of independence. Angola is turning 50 years of independence, 2 years now, 2025. This is very young countries. Yeah. Again, I'm not trying to be sympathetic. And
don't be trying to make excuses, but valid point.
But I'm more understanding of the context, of the circumstances, because we're just looking at what is happening in Mali and Niger. Like, come on, France is not playing fair. I think anyone can see that. Yeah. So all those things for me, when it comes to literature, even when we write our times, we should take that into consideration, because the game is rigged and that thing is real.
I think that there may be some comment, and I think at least 2 questions in the thing that I saw come up. The problem is our time is up, Khalaf. Would you indulge us with a few more minutes just so that you answer those questions, or you have to dash?
No, okay, I'm good. I'm just looking at the light though. Because this light is very good, but very soon we will.
Your light is excellent. Okay, where are these questions? Right. Okay, that's a long question. If I may ask Khalaf a question about language, your new book's title is Minha Patria é a Língua Portuguesa. That's a mix that I hear people call out sometimes, which is elevating of colonial languages. Yet those essays, you're sort of taking the language of Angola's colonizer and in a way doing a blackening, Africanization. I could be getting this wrong. How did you approach that when there's a divide between mindsets about Africans and colonial languages? One team believe we should detach while another taking those languages and playing with them as they wish our ancestors did for them after all. The question is long and I came late, so whatever. Before you go there, Khalaf, I just want to say, as my own little contribution to this, the reason why Khalaf, who is from Angola, which has X amount of languages, and I, as South African, are able to understand each other, is because we are actually speaking a colonial language that we have in common. So I don't know, is the idea of language to be able to communicate? If that's part of the point, then maybe let's play with it. But answer the question, Khalaf.
Yeah. So I will start with the title. The title is I'm playing with this poem by Fernando Pessoa, which is a Portuguese poet that everybody in Portugal praises. Yeah. I have mixed feelings with this individual, but this is another subject for another day. And also, I also pick. I'm also doing a comment to a version of that poem by Caetano Veloso that he also played. So, Pessoa said, "A minha pátria, my country, is the Portuguese language." And Caetano then came addressing Pessoa. He said, "My country is my language." Yeah. And then I came, very obnoxiously, I said, "My country is the preto," which means black, guês. Because of the similarities, Português and Português, there is this philosopher, this black woman from Brazil called Lélia Gonzalez. I commend and suggest everybody to look for, because Angela Davis loved this woman. She quotes her like all the time, because she's one of the first black feminists outside of the English-speaking world that understood intersectionality and all nine. And she's amazing. And she has this play on this word, Português, which is something that I heard my grandfather telling me, because of this idea of emancipation. Yeah, like like because of colonialism, like speaking well English or Portuguese very well, it gave you benefits. Yeah, it allow you to escalate in the ladder of social ladder. Yeah. So,
social ladder.
So my take is I take a step further, yeah, because I'm already playing the word, because I speak broken English. This is not correct English, and most of the people that I know also speak broken English. As Angolans speak broken Portuguese, so by calling it Português is making acknowledgement of the whatever Portuguese that we're speaking is not the pure Portuguese form. Yeah, this is one side of the story, and the second side of the story is based on a report that the UN brought, I think, let's say 7 years ago, or a little before that. And on the report, they said in 21,000, yeah, so 70 something years from now, the number, like the combination of the Portuguese speaking Africans will surpass the population in Brazil. Yeah, so Brazil is now currently with 290 million population. Angola is 33, Angola is 34, Mozambique is 33, and then comes like 1 million in Guinea-Bissau, 500,000 in Cabo Verde, and so on and so forth. So let's say less than 100 years from now, the group of the African countries that speak Portuguese will be larger than Brazil, which is the largest country that speaks Portuguese. Yeah, and then also take into consideration that Portugal itself only has now 11 million. So my question is, which Portuguese is this? Because the people that are talking in large numbers do not live in Portugal, are not Portuguese. So by looking at the numbers of Europe and the way demography works, in a century from now, I would say the population in Portugal will be slightly different than it is now, and probably much less. The whole Europe is dying. Let's just put bluntly like that, So the future, when you say the future is in Africa, it's not just based on our resources. It's based on the numbers of our population. Yeah, we will beat them by the
Yes.
numbers. So with that knowledge, I'm also asking myself, like the English that we will claim will be ours. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's already happening with music. Yeah, the English that we claim, we look at the kids speak more Americans, Black American slang, and now Nigerian slang because of
Pigeon.
Afrobeats than, let's say, Shakespeare English. Put 100 years from now, what will happen? You know, I don't think they will manage to kill us all. They tried that, they failed. So if we just like, you know, be a little bit more aware of the power that we have by speaking those colonizer language, the way we can transform that into our own. I'm not saying those languages will survive. We might even find a way to say, you know, let's all speak Swahili and that's it. I'm good and I'm for it. But the fact is that we can definitely claim those languages and turn into something different than what they represent now.
Thank you so much, Kalaf. This has been absolutely brilliant. Detlef,
Was a
can you
lot.
do
Was a
our
lot.
selection?
Was a lot. I tried to gain time, you know, to not press like, you know, Angolans come here, you know, they take over, speak like for 2 hours and stuff like that. So thank you so much.
You have done amazingly well for an Angolan. Detlef, can we get our pick, please, of the 5
Yes.
lucky winners before we
The
leave?
5 lucky winners. So I would like to ask the audience, please write in where you are from. Not everybody replied. We would like to know where you are from. So far, I know there are people from Joburg. We have at least 4 people from Nairobi, excluding Sukiswa. We have people, of course, from Windhoek. We have people from Omaroro. That's also a city in Namibia, and also some people from the village in Namibia, North Namibia. We have people from Cape Town. So where is the rest? I know we always had people from Nigeria. Where they are?
Uchenna
Please
right
let
now
us
is
know.
in Lagos.
You see. Okay, please write, and I draw the first person. Yeah. By the way, there was a friend of mine who was joining us. Now he got kicked out. It's
Did
a young.
you see that?
No.
Ndegwa just asked, lol, there's another city in Namibia.
Yeah, I should have said maybe village. Yeah. So, okay, the first person is Akele. Akele. Yeah, she's
My
still there.
God,
Please unmute
you
your
are
phone.
second time
Zuki,
around.
don't say, yeah, Zuki, don't say anything. I don't know. Should I give it to someone who's never received? But I really want to
No,
read the
it's
book.
yours. Okay.
I think so
Well,
too,
you can
yeah.
pick it up. You can pick it up when you come and pick up your copy of An Angel in
Sawa,
Demise.
sawa. Thanks. Thank you. Yay.
Yeah,
Okay.
congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Second
Kalaf.
winner from
I can't wait.
From my ice cream box with chocolate flavor is Helena Ambassa.
Ah, come on. Again.
Again.
Yay!
Oh my God.
She won last time.
Yes.
But that's the rewards of being loyal. No?
I know, right?
Thank you.
We must be careful. Ndekwa joined us this time again. He won, I think, at least 3 or 4 times in a row. Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Number 3.
I think you and Deba were rigging, to be honest.
Yes. Farai.
Farai
Farai is
Zimba.
number 3. Can you can please unmute?
Yeah, I'm here. Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. You're winner number 3, Farai.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm in Joburg. How does this work now?
Okay.
No, don't worry. We'll get the book to you. We'll send you an email, get your details, and so forth. You'll get it. Yes,
Awesome,
Deba is
awesome,
Farai
thanks.
of the Avenues.
I think, do you have his details, his address?
No,
of
no,
the-
you have the address. So just send the email today as soon as we're done, and then
Yeah.
we can take it from there.
Because not always the name that I can see, Farai, doesn't reflect on the registration.
But
Sometimes the name is different.
they can email Goethe-Institut Namibia and
Yes, they should. Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Please.
Yeah, I did
send me
register.
your details.
You're saying you can't see my email?
No, I said sometimes the name from the person, like it appears on the screen, is different from the registration.
Oh, mine is the same. That's just my first name.
It's
And my first name is also in my email. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Number 4. Zenobia, Africa. What a nice name. Number 4. Zenobia.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks. And I'm in Joburg. Thank you.
Oh my God, Zenobia, you know that there is a DJ in Angola with your name.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Next time I go to Angola, I'll check them out. Thanks.
So, and the last one. So we have, I just read again somebody from Nairobi. The last one, Helen Whale. Can you believe it? Somebody from Namibia. She won.
Namibia.
Yes.
Very much.
Helen.
Debo, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'd like to beg your indulgence, guys. You will likely get your books later in the month, and the reason that I'm suggesting this is because I am meeting Kalaf later this month, so I would like him to sign all your books for you, and then Helen, we will get Remy to bring it to you. Farai and Zenobia will get somebody who will be coming to Accra to bring your books and send them via postnet. So please send your addresses to Detlef, and you will have signed copies of Kalaf's White Can Dance too.
Great.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
And just an insight, this is our next book. We've got Leila Abulela's River Spirit. All right, thank you everyone. Detlef, final music.
Yeah. Let me think before the final music.
Bridget is asking where she can get the book. I don't know where you are currently.
Where are you? Bridget, where are you? So Bridget and Boga, you are in Nairobi. In Nairobi, you can get it at Somanami. You can get it at Cheche Books. I think there might be some copies at Prestige as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So any good bookstore in Nairobi will have copies of White Can Dance too, because Kalaf was here and you could have bought a signed copy even then. But all right.
Okay, before we start with the music, I would like to share again the screen and let you know this is the website of Virtually Yours, goethe.de/Namibia or Windhoek, no, Namibia. You can have a look at all the previous Virtually Yours discussions, and if you click on it like last time with Sunyati, at the end you can watch the registration here, not the registration, the recording. And I would also like to invite you to have a look at Kalaf website. It's kalafepalanga.com. And like I said, when I was watching this yesterday with and checked the videos, there was a young visitor from the library who is actually Angolan, living in Namibia and going to Germany next year. And we were looking at the videos and the documentary, and when the music popped up and said, yes, I know the music, I know. And he joined, but I think he was kicked out. So your music is also known, of course, in Namibia, Kalaf. I want to let you know. So, but now
I will not make a joke.
Kalaf, they have internet in Namibia.
So then I must stop sharing because the music, I must switch on the music. So, okay, music is on, and enjoy that last part of the documentary with a lot of music, and hopefully see you next time. And thank you very much, Sukiswa. Thank you very much,
Thank
Kala,
you so
for this
much.
nice conversation.
Zouk, see you
An
in
absolute pleasure.
Accra.
See you in Accra.
That would be great.
The floor shakes and makes a terrifying sound. Intense, violent, and beautiful at the same time. No words. The crowd moving to the beat, shouting their desire to party. At that very moment we know there's no escape. The fear of being on stage disappears right there before any consolidation of reason. Up to this point, it's all about intuition. We lose ourselves and everything makes sense until the last song. We return and light the fuse for one last ecstasy. We are ready for the encore.
Wake it, 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 wake it. Quando eu entro o foco se move. Talento aqui chove, claro que o povo me ouve. Só pongo love, tô com a buraca, abro fronteira. Não digo lixo, nem digo asneira. E o microfone só primeiro. Vou levantar a minha bandeira. Angola, o mundo cobiça, mas eu o povo que feitiça. A Pong no beat capricha, porque sou rara, tipo Velvita. Sou mesmo eu, a dama gajo muito agressiva. Me derrubar, nem como a cumba, sou criativa. A buraca é que está colher. Eu fora, pongo love que está batendo. Não se embora, weke, 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 weke. São piadas, weke, 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 weke. Novo esquema.
You can't stand still when you hear this music, huh? Bye-bye.
Bye, Detlef. See you next time.